Guys, last chapter was a lot. A lot of things happened, there were a lot of moving parts, but certainly the thing that I could not miss out on was Shanks. Because we see him assuming his role as the estranged son of the Figureland family. And I'm not gonna lie, with everything that we saw, everything about Shanks' plan falls into place. See, I've had a theory that I've been sitting on for a while, but I needed more information before I could piece it all together. And I believe that with this past chapter, we basically figured it out. So I hope you're ready, because today we're talking about what Roger told Shanks. But before we get into explaining one of the most enigmatic characters in the series, y'all, please do something for me. Like the video, okay? That's very important. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know we always say here, let's get it going. Now for those of you who are questioning what I mean by what Roger told Shanks, let's cast our minds back to when we saw Roger departing his crew. Right before the Roger Pirates disbanded, we get this scene of Roger talking to Shanks in which he says something that we can't hear and then Shanks breaks down crying. So of course a big question that's been circulating since then has been, what did he tell him? Well, I think I got it, y'all. I believe that Roger told Shanks that he was going to die and that what he found on Laugh Tale was useless to him. Which would make sense for why Shanks was crying, because it was like all of your life's work, all of this journey we went through was useless. But then he would continue to go on to tell him, yo, I need you to find the One Piece with my son, who will be my successor, explaining to him that the Nika fruit is needed for whatever is going on with the One Piece. Of course, we know that Roger's dream is to have his heir continue his legacy and be the one to actually become the king, at least the true king, and he tasks Shanks to make that happen. Now, I'm sure this is not crazy, you've probably heard some version of this before, but now we gotta look at all the evidence and how it pieces together. The first argument to consider with this is that the One Piece treasure itself, or something about it, has to do with awakening the Nika fruit, either in terms of getting to it, activating it. There's something that you need an awakened Nika no Mi to do. And obviously the Roger Pirates didn't have that because the fruit was not in their possession at that time, and so they couldn't do anything about it. Therefore, Shanks' first goal after gathering his crew was to steal the Nika fruit from the government. That's when they attacked the ship that Who's Who was on, stole the fruit, and he is headed to the East Blue because he was planning to give the fruit to Ace, Roger's son. But then of course, as he ended up on Fuchsia Village, the very place where it said Ace was supposed to be at, Luffy ate it by mistake. Or if you believe it, fate. And Shanks had to just be like, alright, it's not what I was thinking, but I'ma work with this. Then, within the 12 years between Luffy eating that fruit and now, Shanks, despite since having left the Gorosei and becoming a pirate, maintains his connection with his world noble heritage and therefore plots with them, pretending to be on their side and wanting them to take Luffy out. Now, a little tidbit to add on is that if Shanks actually knew about Imu, then this connection is doubled, because then Shanks would know that you also need this fruit, or at least it's probably part of the thing that is needed in order to even try to counter Imu and take down this oppressive regime. And when you think about it, why wouldn't he know about Imu? From what we see, all of the God's Knights to some degree know about the Great One. Even people like Somers and Killingham knew exactly who Imu was when they showed up on Elbaf. So it seems like the moment that you sign up to be a part of them, you get to know all the secrets. Now, I know people can easily counter that by saying, well, Harold didn't know, and Harold is a God Steel, which was the same rank as Shanks at that point. And while that's true, I think we can say that the situation is different because Harold is an outsider becoming a God Steel. Shanks becoming a God Steel is just because of, I guess, hierarchy. But he's part of the Figureland family. His father is literally the commander of the God's Knights. So I couldn't imagine a reason why he wouldn't at least be told something about it. But going back to his plots and maintaining his connections, this is why when he goes to talk to the Gorosei, the pirate that he actually wanted to talk about wasn't Blackbeard as most people think it is, but Luffy. And that's why during Wano, about a month after that meeting with the Gorosei, they're suddenly stressing over the nature of the Gomu Gomu no Mi and sending CP0 agents to take Luffy out. But then of course, the one thing that Shanks didn't tell them is that killing Luffy won't stop or prevent him from becoming Nika. In contrast, it activates Joy Boy's awakening. Essentially, Shanks was playing the government the whole time so that Luffy could get the boost he needed to awaken to his power. And now I get that this sounds like it may be a lot, but yo, there's a lot of things that this explains. For one, it explains during Buggy's flashback in chapter 1082 when Shanks said, oh, I'm not going after it yet, I still have something to do first. He knew it wasn't the time to make the gears turn yet. It also explains why he was handpicking specific people to be part of his crew, because he knew that he only wanted the best of the best, the cream of the crop, in order to put this plan into action. He couldn't just do it with just anybody. It also gives context as to why after Wano, when his ship was sailing away, he was sitting down with Beckman and telling him now was the time, because it was just after Luffy awakened, knowing that a requirement has finally been fulfilled. It also fits the timeline perfectly, especially with the information we got last chapter. 15 years ago, Shanks joins the God's Knights. 14 years ago, just 1 year later, the Nika fruit is on a world government transport ship. And we know that during this time, Shanks is on Elbaf because we see him in the tub with Gaban, with his God Steel tattoo still on his left arm. Then the fruit was stolen 13 years ago. Ooh, wait a minute. Because there's an extra part to this theory that I didn't even originally think of, but it would actually be even more of a plus. Because what if the Gomu Gomu no Mi was already on Elbaf? In which case it makes sense why the government stole it from them. And Shanks, knowing its importance, went on ahead and stole it back. Now I know the major contention people are gonna have with it, which is just, why? For one, why not eat the fruit himself? And why say you're going after the One Piece as if you're an active member after Luffy awakened it? Now that part, I'm gonna admit, I'm not really sure about, but I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination to think that Shanks thinks of himself as a checkpoint or guardian to the One Piece, not the one who's supposed to claim it. Especially if Roger framed his mindset in this way, he probably doesn't even want to claim it for himself. And honestly, maybe even similarly to the way that Kaido thought of himself in Wano. And of course, he doesn't want to make Luffy's path easy, he still has to make it a challenge in order to spur on his growth. Which him being on Roger's crew, he would know exactly how people get stronger because he was literally on the strongest ship. Haki blooms literally happen in the heat of battle. So as a challenge to Luffy, he'll go through similar routes, getting the 4-row Poneglyphs and finding his way to Laugh-Tale so their two crews can have a final duel for the One Piece itself. And this guardian role makes a lot more sense if he knows about Imu and knows about Luffy's role in needing to take him down. He'd basically be setting up for the greatest lob of all time. It also makes sense as to why his major focus is then on Blackbeard, because while Imu is over there doing stuff with the government, Blackbeard is the one threat to this entire plan. And I mean, can you blame him? Blackbeard has basically as much fate as Luffy does. And then here's a little bonus thing at the end that it even makes sense of. And that would be what happened during Shanks and Kaido's alleged encounter right before they went to Marineford. Because people make a note to mention that when they pulled up to Marineford, not one member had any scratch on them. It didn't look like they had just been in a fight, let alone fighting another emperor. So I think Shanks told Kaido of his true goal, being his want for the real Joy Boy to return and fulfill the prophecy of piracy. And because Kaido to some degree also agreed with this, he acquiesced and went back to Wano, acting as another guardian. So I don't know, y'all. I think Shanks' plan has been very much figured out, because then it also allows the famous Davy back theory to come into play, where Shanks and Luffy's crews will have to have a Davy back for the One Piece. Of course, tying in Luffy's entire storyline of wanting to match Shanks and being a great pirate. And it still allows room for my favorite theory, which is that Blackbeard is gonna kill Shanks to still come true, bringing an end to the tragic hero that is Figureland Shanks, the only other man since Whitebeard who can see the throne but not take it. And with Luffy carrying Shanks' loss into his final battles and eventually succeeding, of course, because I mean, he is the MC at the end of the day, it'll bring the entire through line of Will from Joy Boy to Roger to Shanks to Luffy complete. I think that I cooked with this one, but I want to hear what you think about it. So definitely let me know your thoughts about this theory and more in the comments below, even if you disagree, but just like in a kind way. Now that is the end of the video, y'all, but before we go, like it, subscribe, and share it around with all your friends who love the series, or just, love me. I've been told I have a nice face. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Anytime that I say I want Shanks to die, it's not that I actually want him to die, but it's more just like, it just makes sense for his character. I love Shanks, please, trust me on that.